it's Miss Monica at Brambleton Library. Thank you so much for joining me for another online program. Now, all of this super hot weather that we've been having has made me wish that I could be somewhere where it's nice and cool. Maybe on the ocean, surrounded by cool water, on a boat somewhere. And then as I was thinking about boats, I was kind of curious. Some boats are really, really small, like a canoe or a raft, and they manage to stay afloat in the water just fine. But then we also have these gigantic boats like barges and cruise ships and aircraft carriers that also manage to stay up in the water, even though they weigh a lot. And I was sort of wondering about what it is that makes a boat stay up in the water. So I was thinking today we could conduct a little experiment to see what factors play into a boat, whether it floats or sinks. To do this experiment today, you are going to need a couple of things. First, a couple sheets of aluminum foil. Doesn't really matter the size, but if you're going to do this experiment, you should have maybe 2 or 3 sheets of aluminum foil. You'll need some masking tape. You'll need a container filled with water. I'm using this, but you could easily do this in a sink or in a bathtub, or if you have a little splash pool in your backyard, you could do this here. And then lastly, you are going to need something to weigh your boat down. Now I'm going to be using marbles, but you could use small rocks, you could use coins. If you happen to have very small weights or washers, you could use that too. So gather up all of your supplies and then meet me right back here. Welcome back. Now that you have all of your supplies gathered, take one of your little objects that you are going to use to weigh down your boat. I'm going to grab my marble, but if you're using a coin or a rock, just grab one of those and have your pool of water handy. So how does a huge steel ship stay afloat in the ocean? If you drop something moderately heavy into a tub of water, is it going to sink or float? Do you know why? Let's see what happens when we drop this marble into the water. Do you think it will sink? Do you think it will float? Ooh, let's see. That sank right to the bottom. So liquids, like water in your tub or in the ocean, press upwards on the objects that are on them, whether it is a little marble or a huge steel boat the size of the Titanic. The little larger that the surface area of an object is, which is the more space it takes up, the greater that upward force of the water is, which allows the object to float. So when we are building our boats today, I want you to think about increasing the surface area of your boat to see if that will allow you to carry more marbles than just one. I bet you could probably build a boat that holds at least 30 marbles, maybe even more if you're lucky. So let's go ahead and get started. Take your first sheet of aluminum foil and your masking tape, have that handy as well. And our first boat is just going to be whatever shape that you like. You could build a circle, you could build a square, a triangle, a rectangle, anything you like, with just foil and tape, okay? And as we build, we're gonna talk about a very famous disaster at sea. So while you fold up your aluminum foil, I'm gonna build a boat too. I think maybe in the shape of a circle. We'll see how that goes though. Now, I mentioned something about the Titanic, and I've got all of these Titanic books behind me. I have always been really fascinated by this story. Have you heard of the ship that was called the Unsinkable Ship? It was built about 108 years ago, and on its very first voyage at sea, it hit an iceberg and sank into the bottom of the ocean. This was a really big news story. at the time because they had said that the ship was unsinkable. It was built super safely and had all of these very luxurious things in it, and it cost a lot of money to make, and people were very excited about it. Unfortunately, it was not as safe as people had hoped it would be. There were a lot of different factors that played into that. Let's see. Ooh. It's kind of tricky to build a round boat, my goodness. So one thing about the Titanic is that it very famously didn't have enough lifeboats on board for all of their passengers. There were more than 3,000 passengers and crew members on board the Titanic, and only about 700, maybe a little bit more than 700 people managed to get into the lifeboats. And that was because they didn't know how the lifeboats worked. If you've ever been on a cruise, you know that today you could spend a long time, like a whole afternoon, going over safety drills for how to get into a lifeboat, just in case. That's probably because of the Titanic. But there were some other things that went on with the Titanic as well. For one thing, it was made really quickly. So even though they used steel, sometimes used steel mixed with other cheaper materials. And unfortunately, that meant that when the boat hit the iceberg, it scraped really easily and was damaged really easily. And another thing too, is that it was going really fast in the ocean. And as it was traveling really quickly, once they spotted the iceberg, there wasn't enough time to turn around or to get out of the way. Okay. So I have built my boat. Here we go. It's sort of a circle. More of an oval, I would say. That's okay. We're gonna test it out anyway. Oh, you know what? I actually didn't use any masking tape, so let me try and reinforce some of those edges with the masking tape. You're welcome to use as much masking tape as you like for this activity. Let's see. I'm gonna reinforce the edges of my boat, not unlike the way that they would reinforce the edges of a ship using rivets. Oh, there you go. Okay, now let's grab our water and we are going to set sail. You can see this. There we go. Okay, so let's see if my boat will float. So it's got a slightly larger surface area, so it takes up more space in the water than just that little tiny marble did. So hopefully that means it'll sail pretty well. Oh, look at that. It is floating. Now we are going to see how many marbles it can hold, okay? Let's see, we've got 1, it's still floating, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, oh no, it's taking on water, 9, 10, 11, 12, still floating, still holding on, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and it sank. So this boat held 20 marbles. Now let's see if we can build a boat that holds even more. So what lessons did we learn here? Well, for me, my boat had kind of shallow sides, so I think that might have been a problem. I also just think maybe I didn't build it very solidly. So let's try it again. Grab your second sheet of aluminum foil. This time try building it in a different shape. So if you built it in a circle, try making it into a square or maybe a triangle. See which shape works best. I think now I'm gonna build it in a rectangle. Kind of like a barge. Let's long things that carry a lot of cargo. That's how we get a lot of our things that we buy. Anything that sails across the ocean. Okay. Let's see what we can do. This one up. I'm enjoying this boat building. I don't know about you guys. I sure hope that your boats are holding up pretty well. Let's see, so here's what I've got so far. And then fold these edges up. Okay. I'm feeling pretty good about this one, you guys. Feeling pretty good. Feeling quite confident. One of my favorite stories from the Titanic is about one of the women who survived, and her name was Molly Brown. And she was a very wealthy heiress. She had a lot of money. And on the Titanic, as the ship was sinking, she actually helped a lot of people get into the lifeboats. And so they used to call her the unsinkable Molly Brown. She carried with her this little good luck charm or talisman that she said brought her luck. And that too survived the Titanic. So it must be really good luck. Okay. Second boat is done. It is the shape of a rectangle. Look at that. I think this one shows a little bit more promise. Let's grab our water and let's set it in. Look at that. Okay, how many marbles do you think this one will hold? Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right, so we've already passed the last one. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Oh, we're doing good. Uh-oh, it might be starting to sink. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, still going, 45, 46, 47, 48, 48. I put in 49, but it was already sinking at that point. Okay, so your second boat design, how many marbles did it hold? Did you improve upon the first design to see if maybe you could make it even better? Maybe try it a third time and make a boat without any tape. See how many marbles it holds up. So that is the end of our activity today. Thank you for watching. If you want to know a little bit more about the Titanic, the library has a lot of books about the subject. One of my favorite is the Eyewitness Titanic, which is where I learned about Molly Brown and her little good luck charm. It's got a lot of other really fun facts and interesting stories about the Titanic as well. I like this one, but there are a lot of other really good books and resources as well. I hope that you had fun testing out your boats. And if you have given this a try, take a picture of your boat and send it to the library on our Facebook page. We would love to see what you have built. Bye! Happy sailing!